I'm Adele.
And I'm Chelsea, and we are the duo behind Essie Davis Daily.
And today we have the pleasure of chatting with Essie Davis herself about the Justice of Bunny King, which had its world premiere at Tribeca this weekend. So congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
The Justice of Bunny King is directed by Gaysorn Thavat and stars Essie Davis and Thomasin McKenzie. Essie, would you mind maybe introducing a little bit about Bunny and the movie for people who aren't familiar with the film yet?
Okay. The Justice of Bunny King is a fantastic movie. I'm extremely proud of. It's the story of Bunny King, who's a squeegee bandit, has an intersection windscreen washer, who you might make a lot of judgments about. She's working on the street and she's couch surfing, staying at her sister's place while she's trying to get her children out of foster care and back into her care. And she's trying to make ends meet, find a home, get a job, be with her children. But the government institutions and judgments that other people make it harder and harder and harder for her to achieve. And she jumps through hoops for everyone. And just when you think that maybe she's got a place to stay and a place of stability where she could be with her children, she finds that her niece is in a dangerous situation. And so she sacrifices her own safety to try and save her niece. And then still keep the promise that she's made to her children that they'll be together in their own home for her daughter's birthday.
Mm-hmm. What would you say drew you to what drew you to the character and the project as a whole?
Bunny is such a fantastic, positive, hopeful, energized, practical woman who we would all make judgments about if we didn't know her story. And she's funny and brave and kind and generous, and she does so much for everyone, and yet all she really wants is to be with her little girl and boy. And I just love that, the endless frustration of what she has to go through, but the positive way in which she tries to achieve her dreams. And I just thought she's a fighter, and she'll never stop fighting. I love that it's a really important story about women who have survived domestic violence, children who've survived domestic violence, people who are on the other side of prison trying to have a life, and that people can step into her shoes and maybe see the world from a different perspective and maybe rally and change their government's behaviour towards these women whose story this is.
Yeah. Having played so many mothers in your career and being one yourself, would you say there's something universal in that experience, like with Bunny? And
in spite of her uniqueness, is there something universal in this experience?
Of course, there's a universality in motherhood, but every mother is different. Every child-parent situation is different. The only thing that I think unites these three women that I've lately played. I've played lots of mothers. I guess a lot of women in the world are mothers, they just happen to be doing other things as well, is that deep sort of unconditional love for their child. And I don't think all mothers feel that, but I certainly know that that's what Bunny has. And I also just love that she's so reckless and buoyant and funny and brave, and has learnt how to stand up for herself because she's had to. And I think it's quite a you can do it kind of thing, which I think is quite wonderful, kind of, in spite of the situations that she ends up getting herself into.
It was also one of our questions, if you feel like you learned something from Bunny, or if you feel like there's parts of her that you hold dear, that you kept after this.
Absolutely. I think every role stretches you, teaches you something new, makes you look at life from somebody else's point of view. Every role does that. And I love Bunny. I love her with a passion. She's one of the favorite women I've ever played, actually. And it's time that her story was told. The amount of women who were extras in the film who said, that's my story, I'm so glad you're telling my story, my children were taken. And I just think it's great for women in this situation to see themselves on film in such a hopeful and kind of dramatic way, but also and to share their story in that way, but also for people who aren't in that situation to step into someone else's shoes and consider that, maybe they're excessively judgmental and maybe they could help make change.
Yeah, that's also what, it's more of a statement than a question, but it's also what we, having watched the movie, found so lovely, that there's a whole, a beautiful diversity of characters who cross her path and try to give her hope or strength, despite the fact that she's up against system and a lot of things. But yeah. One of the other key things about the movie is the fact that it's very women-led, and between with Gaysorn Thavat directing and Sophie Anderson screenwriting and Emma Slade and Jeannie Lone and Kushla Dillon, all those women involved, did you feel like it had an impact on, what impact did you feel like it had on the finished product and the work?
It certainly felt like a very female-led, go get 'em gals kind of story. I mean, there are lots of lovely guys involved in it as well, and who we couldn't have done great stunts and things without some, but Ginny and Gaysorn are an incredible couple who directed and shot it, and their vision and my vision were the same, so we had a very collaborative kind of enthusiasm about making this. And all the standby wardrobe girls were awesome and kept me going when I was going, is anyone going to believe my accent? And they go, yeah, girl, you just it was I would have to say a fantastic group of women to work with, and some men too.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. We know that The Justice of Bunny King has already been announced to screen at festivals in Perth and Sydney soon. So this is just the beginning for you in this film.
And so we wish you all the best for you and for it in the coming months. And really thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with us. That was lovely.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Lovely to see you.